Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Commerce Aspirants. So let's take a look at our next topic, which is external environment, and the subtopics microenvironment and macroenvironment. So in external environment, as I had mentioned it in my previous videos, that external environment is the environment which is uncontrollable. External environment cannot be controlled, whereas internal environment is controllable. And also external environment affects all companies, whereas internal environment affects only your company. Further, in external environment, we have two topics, which is micro environment and macro environment. Macro environment is completely uncontrollable, whereas in micro environment we have some control to the factors. Okay, so first point that you need to remember is in external environment, the environment is completely uncontrollable. We don't have any control over the factors of external environment. Also, when it is bifurcated into two parts, that is micro and macro, in micro the factors are controllable up to some extent, but the factors of macro are completely not under our control. So now let's take a look at the factors of microenvironment. So the first factor is organization. Now organization, you have some control to the things, to the happenings which are going around in your organization, which will affect your business environment, and you can control it up to some extent. Second is customers. Customers, you can control them only and only if you are fulfilling their demands, their requirements. Only then you have some control. Otherwise, you don't have any control over your customers. If they don't like the products which you are selling, which you are manufacturing, they are bound to go to your competitors. If you are not selling at a price which your competitors are selling, or if you are selling a price higher than them, you are bound to lose your customers. So customers again is the part of your micro environment. Next is competitors. Competitors, like I said earlier, suppose there are two companies, for example, Lay's, and second one would be Balaji. Both are the competitors, but Balaji is more of a local brand. Lay's is an international brand. But if you have to compete with them, you will have to keep price at par with them or less than them, or you have to make some additional variants. You need to provide some discounts. In this way you can have an edge over your competitors. So at some point of time you can control your competitors, hence it is included in micro environment. Next would be the market, as in where you are trying to open your business, start your business. What is the local region, what are the requirements. For example, in hilly areas you will need to start a business of heaters. In areas where the temperatures are very high, like the southern areas, you'll need to start up a business of ACs, coolers, fans, etc. So this is market. Next comes the suppliers. Suppliers are the ones who will provide you the raw materials for your product. They'll provide you the equipments, they'll provide you all the raw things which you need to complete your product. If you're starting a business of laptop gadgets, you'll need hardwares, you'll need various materials to assemble the products. So all the raw materials, all the assembling parts, the one who provides you are known as suppliers. For example, if you are a car company, you need tires or you need certain parts to build up your car. There is another company, which is into the similar business of cars. You both are going to go to one supplier. Suppose if you are making a contract which is of a very less price and your opposite company is making a contract in a high price, the opponent company is ready to pay the supplier more, whereas you are paying supplier less, so he might stop providing you with the raw materials. He'll go with the company who's paying him more. So in this way, suppliers are in control up to some extent, and it's a part of microenvironment. Next one is intermediaries. Now the intermediaries are the middlemen who are going to take the product from your company and sell it in the market to the customers. It can be door to door, it can be through a website, it can be through a shop, online, offline, whatever it may be. So intermediaries are the middlemen who carry your product from your company, your business, your goods and services to the final end, that is the customers. Now, there is a way to remember microenvironment. As when I was studying, I was taught in this way, so it is very easy for you also to remember. I would like to share it with you all. There is a short form that is cosmic. Now, usually, what are these short forms known as? These are known as mnemonics. It is easier when you are preparing for any objective examination where there are only MCQs asked. It is very easy for you to remember the points in the way of mnemonics, through the way of mnemonics, because you don't have to remember each and every details of the points. You just need to remember the names, the sequence. So mnemonics is very helpful for us during our examination, as we'll be able to recollect the things quite fast. So the mnemonic for microenvironment is cosmic, where C, you can remember C as customers, C as competitors, O will be for organization, S for suppliers, M for market, I for intermediaries, and S again I said it can be customer or it can be competitor as well. So for microenvironment the mnemonic is cosmic. Okay, I hope you remember cosmic. Whenever the word cosmic comes into your mind, you have to relate it with micro. Whenever microenvironment is mentioned, you have to relate it with cosmic. In exam they'll only ask you which of the following is not part of microenvironment, or which of the following is part of microenvironment. So you have to remember the word cosmic and you will be easily able to answer. Now let's go ahead with macro environment. First is economic. Now economic means what? Economic means economic systems, economic conditions, economic policies, all the things which is related to our economy. Whenever there are any changes done in economy, its system, its policies, its conditions, it is bound to impact each and every company running in the world, or each and every company running in that particular state, region, whatever it may be, and you have no control over it. Whatever the changes are implemented in economic system, in economic conditions, be it GDP, be it balance of payment, be it budget, be it fiscal, be it any changes made by RBI, be it any changes made by government in tax, you have to follow it. You cannot escape it, and also it is something which is beyond your control. You won't be getting any exceptions from that. So first is economic. Now second is political and legal. Now political and legal means whenever there is any change in law, in any acts, or any political rules are enforced, it is bound to affect all the companies. Next is technological. Technological, as you can see, online education is introduced, work from home is introduced. It has impacted many business. People have to move from on offline stores to online. When there was a lockdown, many business were affected. They had to find out another way. When technology is introduced, You have to make a use of it. You will be bound to make a use of it, or else if you don't do the changes, you don't adopt the new changes which are being introduced via technology, you will be left behind. You'll lose to your competitors. So whenever there are any technological changes, every business will get affected, every business has to imply it. But because if they don't imply it, their competitors will imply it, they will take it ahead, and you will be left behind. Your business will be left behind. Next is global. Global as in environmental changes. What are the changes, any environmental acts which you need to take care of while running your business? You need not affect the environment, you need not harm the trees, you need not harm the animals. All these things need to be taken care of. This is again a part of global environment. Next is socio-cultural. Socio-cultural and demographic are almost the same. In socio-cultural and demographic, you need to take a look at the lifestyle, at the region. Suppose in a region or in a locality where there are all vegetarian people, you won't start a business of fish or meat. Whereas if you will go into foreign countries, you will run a business of meat, fish more efficiently, because there everyone max people have it. Whereas in India, there are some regions, some localities where people don't have it. Similarly, if there are people of a particular tradition, religion, Hindus, what do Hindus need require more? Suppose there are Muslims, what Muslim peoples require more as per their cultures? There are Bengalis, there are Christians. So as per the regions, as per the lifestyle, as per the locality, as per the requirements, as in Diwali you will be selling more of diyas, whereas in Christmas you will be selling more of the Christmas lightings. So these are the things which we need to take care during social cultural and demographic environment, and that will affect the business environment similarly. Now, to remember macro environment, there is another mnemonic which is PESTLE. Now, PESTLE is P for political, E will be for economic, S will be for sociocultural, T will be for technological, E will be for environmental or ecological, and L will be for your legal. As I had said earlier, sociocultural and demographic is one and the same, so you can remember it with S. Political, legal are given together, but political will be different, legal will be different. Political is mostly related to the rules, policies, legal is related to laws. And global stands for ecological or environmental. So you can remember macro environment through this mnemonic, which is PESTLE. Whatever I have explained in micro, macro, these are all just basic things. No need to go in deep, dig in deep, search on Google what is exactly economic, macro. No, the in detail questions won't be asked. Mostly they'll ask you which is not macro, which is not micro, which is macro, which is micro. And in macro, there are some topics which we'll be learning in detail. Other than that, there are no other topics which you need to learn in detail, as they won't be asked. Only which I'll be teaching you all in detail for macro, that you have to do, and it's more than enough. So I hope you have understood external environment, micro environment, mnemonic is cosmic, macro environment, mnemonic is pestle. Now let's go ahead with economic environment, which is a part of macro environment. Now, economic environment, which is a part of macro environment. First are economic conditions. What will be the economic conditions? It can be GDP, GNP, BOP, that is balance of payment, inflation, savings and investment, per capita income, etc. Now, these we need not learn in detail. These are just basic things which we had learned in our college level examinations. And in detail, these questions are not asked on these topics. Next would be economic policies. First is industrial, fiscal, monetary, foreign investment. These two are important from exam point of view. Questions are asked based on these two policies, which we'll be seeing in our coming up slides. Next is economic system. There are three types of economic system: capitalist, socialist, and mixed. These three systems are very important from our exam point of view. Now let's go ahead with economic system first. Economic system. Now what do you understand by economic system or the economies? The economic system means the system and the economy as through which this country runs. The country runs the economy, and it is defined in three sections, which is capitalist, socialist, and mixed. There are three types of economies. Each country fits into any one of the economy. Each country has adopted any one of the economy to run their economic system. So let's take a look first at the capitalist economy. So now, what is capitalistic economy? Capitalist or capitalistic economy is an economy where there is no role of government or very little role of government. For example, if there are any companies, any services, be it train, bus, be it any big companies, be it small startups, there is no power of government. Government is not having any power as such in their hands. In capitalist economy, everything is owned privately by the individuals. Now, as the second point states, consumers and producers have freedom of choice. In this economy, the consumers and producers have 100% ownership in their hand. They have the right to run their units, their business, their companies, their services. There won't be any interference from government or by the government. And so, as there is no interference of government, they have 100% choice, 100% rights as to how they need to take their business ahead or how they need to choose things for themselves. Third point, I have stated already that it is owned by private individuals and entities, as there is no role of government. Then next is prices are set by supply and demand. As there is no role of government, so but obviously if there is entire ownership in the hands of the individuals and the private entities, they are bound to set the prices as per the supply and demand. Whatever the consumers are demanding, as per that they'll be setting the price. If someone wants to set the price high, even if the demand is more, they'll set the price high. If someone is setting the price low, even when the demand is high, they can do it. There is no price ceiling, there is no price limit, there is no floor limit, nothing as such. Next is income is set by free market forces. Again, no interference of government, no one to rule, no one to dictate. Income can be set as per your choices. The plus point of capitalist economy is that it encourages innovation and efficiency. There is no restriction, there won't be any nod required from the government when a person has to start up his business, or if there is any new ideas, new innovations in his mind, they can directly go ahead, they can start it, they can develop it, because no approval is required from the government, no paperwork is required from the government. So the process is run smoothly and it can go on smoothly, it can be taken ahead quickly, as we don't have to wait for the approval from the government. Next is, it is known as command free economy. See, in exam they can ask you in match the following or in statement assertion reason also, which economy is command free economy, is capitalist economy command free economy. So you need to keep this in mind that capitalist economy is also known as command free economy. And usually capitalist economy is found in states such as USA, Germany, UK, etc. Okay, you can keep these examples also in your mind. Sometimes this can be asked and match the following the examples. So capitalist economy, main thing you have to remember is there is no rule of government. And as there is no rule of government, everything is done quickly, smoothly. Income is set as per the owners and private individuals' requirements, supply, demand. Everything can be done as per the choice. Next is socialist economy. Now, what do you mean by socialist economy? Socialist economy is exactly opposite to capitalist economy. That means in capitalist, government had zero role, no role. Whereas in socialist economy, everything, each and everything from small to big, all the decisions are taken by government and government only. So it is exactly opposite of socialist economy. As every decisions are taken by government, there is no freedom of choice. See, here also it is mentioned no freedom of choice. Prices are also set by government, and because prices are set by government, individuals don't have their choices. Everything is decided by government. So there is equal distribution of income. We can take for an example, if you are working in a government company, everyone is bound to get the same salary pay no matter how much hard one person is working, and if another person is not working, still he's going to get paid. Whereas in private, only the ones who are completing the targets, they'll be paid some remuneration, whereas who is not working, who is not doing overtime hours, they won't be. But in a socialist economy, this can be a pro, that everyone is given income equally, it is distributed. It can be con also, because if some people are not working, still they are getting that income, and someone who is working hard, he is also getting that much income. No extra income is rewarded for his efforts. So this can be a pro also, this can be a con also. Next, less scope for innovation and efficiency. As government is involved, government will be giving the approval, so it will take time for any of your ideas to become productive. Hence, there is less scope for innovation and efficiency. Last is, it is also known as planned economy. Why planned? As the name suggests, plan as in everything is planned, everything is decided by the government. No freedom of choice. Innovation is scope is less. Majority of role is of government. Everything is decided, planned by government. So this is known as a planned economy. So you have to keep in mind, capitalist is command free, socialist is planned economy. And in which countries it is found? It can be found in Russia, Vietnam, China. These are the countries where socialist economy is found. They have adapted socialist economy. So in mixed economy, there are some characteristics of capitalist economy as well as some characteristics of socialist economy. First point, as it states, government creates laws and regulates business activities. That means the laws are created by the government. Also, they are regulating the business activities which is carried around in the surroundings. But it doesn't mean that the individuals, the entities, private owners don't have any right or they cannot create any laws. As we had seen in socialist, entire activities, entire system was run by government, whereas in mixed, only laws and regulation is in hands of government, but still there is a choice for private owners, private individuals to run their activities. There is limited freedom of choice. As in socialist, there was no choice. In capitalist, there was entire complete freedom to select which company you are running, which business you want to run, which what will be the services you provide. Whereas in mixed economy, you have choice, there you have freedom, but it is limited. It is up to certain extent only. Third point, profit motive and social welfare. This is an important point of mixed economy where equal attention is given to earning profit as well as to the welfare of the people. In capitalist economy, the only motive was to earn profit. In capitalist economy, only motive was to earn profit. Socialist economy, only motive was for the welfare of the people. Capitalist economy, the only motive was for the welfare of the people, the society, well-being of the people. Profit was not in the picture in socialist economy. Whereas in capitalist, social welfare was not in the picture. But in mixed, we have to earn profit as well as we need to think about the social welfare of the people, of our community, of our society. For example, if you are producing, if you have started a business of any product, you need to see that environment is not getting harmed, it is not affecting health of the people, pollution, etc. In a mixed economy, it is balanced. Next is control of monopoly power. Government will see to that entire power doesn't goes into one particular company, business, entity hand. Next is natural resources are owned by both government and private sector. As it is mixed economy, as I mentioned you earlier, entire thing won't be in hands of private, entire thing won't be in the hands of government. It will be shared by both government and private. As we can see, there are public buses, private buses, there are public trains, private trains, there are public companies, there are private companies. So in mixed, both can be carried simultaneously. And the best example of mixed economy, which is this country which is mostly known for mixed economy, yes, it is India. India is the country which is best example of mixed economy. In India, we have both private entities as well as government entities. So this was all about economic system. I hope you all have understood what is capitalist, what is socialist, what is mixed, what are the differences, what are the similarities. It can be asked to you in assertion and reason statement form questions, as well as the names can be asked in match the following questions. So that's all for today. Tomorrow we'll be continuing with our economic environment. In that we'll see various policies, monetary policy, fiscal policy. Also, we'll take some another topics. So if you have liked my today's video, if you have understood what all I have explained in today's class, please do hit the like button. Also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Comment down if you have any suggestions. Share this video with your friends. As we are conducting our course in 3 languages, it can help them also. And if you haven't joined my Telegram channel, please do join my Telegram channel, as I'll be sharing all the PDFs on the Telegram channel. That's all for today. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.